Hi guys, welcome back to my dining room table. Welcome back to my series of very low budget makeup tutorials. I did my hair for you today. It's the first time I've heat styled my hair since February 22nd. We had a good run, but it was time. I think by the time this quarantine is over, my hair is going to be down to my hips. But anyways, that's irrelevant. Tia, aka Fuzzy Bear, Sassafras Fuzzy Bear, wanted a little video on contouring, so that's what I'm going to chat to you about today. So I'm going to talk a little bit about sort of the basic do's and don'ts, things to look for in terms of your products, and then get into doing the actual contouring. So in a nutshell, you've got cream products, you've got powder products. I personally prefer to use cream products, so that's because I have textured skin. If you have large pores, that's what I have. If you have dryness, flakes, bumps, anything like that, I feel like powder products tend to kind of stick and adhere to it and enhance the issues. So cream products melt into your skin a little bit better, and I just think that they wear a little bit better, especially with dry skin. Yeah, I think most people actually have powder products. That's more common. They're a little bit easier to work with, so I think I'm gonna just use powder products in this. If you want to see something else on how to use cream products instead, let me know. I don't mind, I can make another video, but I'm gonna stick to the powders for today. So that's formula types. And then in terms of choosing a color for your skin tone, so for actual contouring, not bronzing, there's a difference. You want to look for something that mimics a shadow on your skin, so you're not looking for something that looks like a tan. Tones that have almost a gray undercast to them is kind of what you want to go for in contouring, especially if you're very pale. Most pale tones, or pale skin tones, when you use a typical bronzer to contour, it's going to look orangey on you. So there's a few really good brands, good products from certain brands that are made for pale skin. So if you are very pale and have cool undertones, which most pale skin does have cool undertones, Fenty has a really good one called In Da Sun. And if you are pale and a little bit warmer undertoned, so Tia, that might actually be the case for you because you're Italian. You could have still an olive undertone. So olive doesn't equal tan. You can be very pale and have an olive undertone. So in that case, you want to get something that's a little bit warmer so that your contour doesn't look very ashy and you don't end up looking like an ill Victorian child. We get very like hollow looking in your face. So something a little bit warmer but still pale. Too Faced has a good one. It's the Milk Chocolate Soleil. So Chocolate Soleil is actually the one that I have and I'm going to use. This thing is old as balls. I know that these come in new packaging now, but the Milk Chocolate is a good one for your tone. Benefit has one. It's called Hula Light. Anyway, so I would recommend those. Order online from Sephora. Don't go out and try and shop for this stuff right now. It's just not necessary. I know that you can get some of these from like Shoppers, but just wait till after this quarantine's over. You're not fucking going anywhere anyways. You don't have anyone to impress. So without further ado, I'm gonna jump into it. Starting off with placement of where you put your contour. Try and line it up kind of from the top of your ear, not the middle. Now this area here, I know, is the area that you want to have chiseled out. However, when you put your product on, you need to blend it. And so with the blending, it's gonna pull it down a little bit. So if you're starting right in the area that you want, you're gonna end up with product coming down too low. And then you look like you have mutton chops. And that's not cute. So start from right on top of your actual cheekbone and then blend down a little bit. So try and line up with the top of your ear. This is where you want to start with your product. And as with anything else, and this is always my biggest tip for doing makeup anywhere on your face, no matter what it is use a light hand. That's killer. So many people just like swirl and then just freaking get in there with reckless abandon. And it's just always so much easier to build up than it is to take away. So get a little bit, like I'm just dabbing onto my brush. Tap the excess off. Tap, give it a shake, whatever you gotta do. And I'm gonna grab a different mirror because that's tricky to see. And just start, I like to start kind of in the center, not right into the hairline and pulling forward, so that you're not getting big globs of product into your hairline or getting it really orangey and caught around here. And I'm not gonna use big aggressive swirling motions. I'm using light sort of stippling just to create the line that I want. And I'm not gonna come any further than right here. So the apples of my cheeks is where I start applying my blush, and I want my blush to blend seamlessly with the contour. So, not bringing any further, staying high up onto the cheekbone, not using crazy swirling, and just work the product in. If it helps, you can kind of like pull forward so that you can see the line. When you do that, it helps to sort of map it out on your face a little bit better. Now I like to bring it upwards too. I always work my contour and or bronzer, if I'm just doing a basic bronzer, up into the temple area, because we're gonna tie this all into the forehead as well. Just going back in with tiny little bits more as I think I need it, and softening out all the edges so that you don't have any rough, harsh, sharp lines. It just looks way too severe for going out on a normal day-to-day basis. Now I'm gonna start working up, huzzah, into my hairline up onto my forehead. Now, if you have a smaller forehead or like a quite low hairline, I wouldn't recommend bringing it all the way around. Focus it onto the temples and up here, and leaving this not bronzed or contoured, or however you want to put it. If you bronze all the way down, it's just going to make your forehead look even smaller and your hairline look a little bit lower. If you've got a lot of surface space to work with, like 5 head here, then as I do, I like to bring it all the way around. If you get a spot where you've got a bit too much product, I go back in with a brush that I used to powder or to set. So it just has a little bit of that left over, and I just gently buff out. Doing my hair was a terrible idea. So I know that the urge to like aggressively brush and swirl and use pressure to blend out when you've got globs of product is tempting, but that can actually make your problem a lot worse. So use a light hand, focus on the blending. If you're pressing too hard, all you're gonna do is move around all of your product and the product that's underneath as well. So you're just gonna lift up your foundation and powder, and you're gonna create a big patchy muddy mess. So use a light hand, be patient, work at it little by little. Go back in with a clean brush or a brush that just has some powder on it, like skin tone powder, and try and just soften your edges out that way. Now, if you feel the need to contour your nose, I'm not one of those people, but you can, there's a couple ways to do it. I mean, just getting a light amount onto the side. So kind of glob it on there, glob it on there, technical term. Brush a fair amount of product on and go in with a smaller brush and soften up the edges. This is a slippery slope on the nose because it can be very obvious that you've contoured if it's not subtle enough. I like to get underneath the tip so that it doesn't just stop right here and then this is all light. It looks quite obvious that way, I think. Yeah, and then take a little bit more product, and don't forget to do underneath your jaw to tie it down into your neck. So I start right underneath my chin bone. Work it down so there isn't a line. Kind of just trace your jawbone. And then start really working on blending the product downwards into the rest of your neck. If you're wearing your hair up, well, you should do this anyways, but particularly if you're wearing your hair up, don't forget to get back here behind your ears. That's the gist of it. So you're sort of creating a C shape with the bronzer, or with your contouring product. You can see how my jawline or my cheekbone is accentuated, but it's not all over the face, it's not overwhelming, and it's not come down too far, and we've stopped right about here so that we can naturally tie the blush into it. But it does that work? It makes a difference. So what I like to do afterwards, because I'm not actually one for a very harsh, chiseled out, contoured face, so I go back in with an actual bronzer that has a bit of a sheen to it. I forgot to mention as well, I would strongly recommend only using matte products for doing this. And then if you want to warm your face up a bit after, which is what I'm about to do, then you can use something with a bit of a light sheen, a very, very minimal shimmer. I don't say don't, I mean do whatever you want, but I recommend not using something that has a very dense, like intense glitter or shimmer. What is the word I'm even trying to say? Like metallic sheen, whatever. Moving on. You know what I mean? So I use a bigger brush for this, a brush that needs to be washed. And I'm just lightly dabbing into that. And I give it, literally, this is just like a wash over top. Just to warm it up a little bit and tie it all together. Hopefully you can see that clearly. So then I go in with my blush. This is the brush that I use. There's a million different kinds of blush brushes that work just as well. I just prefer this shape. This is a NARS blush. Now, if you've ever used NARS blushes, you probably know they are insanely pigmented. So when I go in with this, it's like tap twice, gently tap the excess off. Smile or like lift up your cheek so you can see the high point where you want to start. Same thing, I just stipple it on. I'm not dragging, I'm not using any swirling or heavy-handed motions. Stipple it on and work it upwards into where you applied the contour product. And then just add product as you feel you need it. Start small, add more as you go. You can add a little bit of blush to your forehead. Some people do that. I typically don't. But if you do, if that's a look that you like, right above the sort of brow bone. Again, you're making that C shape. And then, to top it all off, use a highlight. This one is the MAC Soft and Gentle. This is such a pretty highlight. I think this complements so many skin tones. If you're very, very pale, this could be a bit too warm for you. I'd recommend the Lightscapade instead. It has a cool undertone to it. It actually has little veins of like blue and purple, but it doesn't go on the skin that way. It's just made to accentuate fair skin in just the right way. It's really, really pretty. So this is the same idea, but we're using a tiny little light fluffy brush, tapping off. This one you really don't want to go in too strong with to start with. And right on top of where I applied all of those other products, so I like to start right at kind of where the end of my eyebrow is. Pull it forward and sweep it up onto the top of my eyebrow. And then a little bit onto the tip of the nose, up the bridge if you feel so inclined. Cupid's bow. Basically all of the points of your face that are raised and that the light would hit is what you're trying to do here. And then if you want to add a little bit more, just build up. Not in, I don't know if you can probably hear my kid whining right now. He's just risen from his nap and is hanging out in his crib by himself. You can probably hear me talking and has major FOMO. As I was saying, if you want to continue to layer, start at the same spot that you started with and just gently work out to the other points instead of being like painting it all on. Hopefully that made sense. As usual, I feel like it didn't. If anything is confusing or you have any questions, let me know. Shoot me a message. Actually, I'm gonna do the other side of my face because I will probably forget that I did this, and then I actually have to go out into the world today. Gotta go on a supply run with half of my face bronzed, looking like a lunatic. All done. Hopefully you can see that relatively clearly. That's about it. I'm gonna go get my kid. I'm gonna go out to collect rations. Wish me luck. Hopefully the zombies don't get me. And next, I promised a smoky eye video. So that's gonna be interesting. I don't know when that's gonna happen, but sometime this week I'll do my best. Okay, thanks. Class is dismissed. Adios.